It's another Sunday and time for another adventure. Since my son is continuing to have injury problems, my daughter and I drove out to Vonore, Tennessee to check out the old 1750s era British pioneer fort, Fort Loudon, and the Fort Loudon State Historic Area. It's a step back into pre-Revolutionary War days and a glimpse into what life was like for British soldiers in the wild Appalachian forests with their neighbors, the Cherokee Nation. Come on along as our team steps even further into American history with a British twist. Hello everybody, Trail Hunters here on a nice, pretty, but windy day, and we're going back to redo a video in this place right here. Been here a couple of times, and the last time we were trying to shoot a video, that's when I was informed. That's when I first learned that we are not allowed to fly drones in state parks. Yeah, we found that out right in this place. We did not finish that video. But it's a gorgeous day. And today we are going to finish the video. No drones. In this gorgeous area outside Vonore, I think it's called. Tennessee. Yeah, Vonore, whatever. And first we're going to check out the visitor center and museum. And this is a pre-Revolutionary War British fort that they had out here in the wilderness. I'm going to say 1600s, maybe the 1700s. Find that out when I'm in there. Of course, back in those days, there was no lake, as you see there. That's a lake created by the Loudon Dam, Fort Loudon Dam, which is to the northwest of here, in Lenore City, which is nearby. And flooded in this whole area. But back in the days when this fort existed, this was all woodlands and mostly Native American lands. And this fort, which we'll go see in a little bit after I get done with the visitor center, is basically bordering, the frontier lands of the Europeans and the Native American lands. And things did not go well for the British here, as eventually the fort was overrun by Native American tribes that lived in this area, and it was destroyed. So the fort we're going to see is a rebuilt recreation of the fort that was there on the site of where the fort used to be back in whatever year. We'll find all that out. But it's pretty cool. I don't think they're having any demonstrations or recreations going on today. I've been here one time many years ago with my ex-wife and my grandson and kiddo, of course, and they were firing off the cannons that are down there at the fort. That was pretty cool. I might pull some of that old footage just so you can see them firing off the cannons. Okay, anyways, first step, we're going to go inside the visitor center and check out the museum. Be back. Okay, so we're inside the museum. Some blueprints of the flintlock guns that they used back then. Here's some. Oh, these are replicas. These aren't actual ones. Here's one of the cannons. And all the steps that they have to go through to fire one of these cannons. Okay. And here is a model of Fort Loudon. Where we're going to go check out here in just a little bit.
How are you guys doing?
All right. Mississippi Memorial of 1540. This has to be from a time before the fort, July 1540. London Magazine, November 1760. Garrison of Sea. Okay, so this has to have been the mid 1700s. Yeah, Fort Loudon. Garrett had 100 men. 1757. That's a little bit before the Revolutionary War. I thought it was like earlier than that. Some of the tools that have been excavated from the site. There's a little model of the corner of the fort where the cannons would be. He'd be in one of the corners. Of course, we'll see all those when we get down there. Chicken bones, butchered animal bones. Whoa. Knives, scissors. This is all stuff that was recovered on site here. Shelter and equipment on campaign.
You guys have
Yes.
kind of great kids back there? We have beer, ginger ale, and cherry soda.
Clothing. Redcoats come to the wilderness. Oh, there's one of those wall guns.
It's nice set. Glad to see you.
Look at the caliber these things were. 94 caliber. Damn. Look, that's an actual uniform. Looks pretty old. Let's see. The Brown Bess. Main weapon carried by British troops at Fort Loudon. 75 caliber Brown Bess musket. And that's a replica. Gosh darn it. Here's more stuff that was recovered from Tellico Blockhouse, which is another fort which is nearby to this one. That one is not rebuilt. It's just the foundation is all that's left of that one. Okay, so we're taking a short walk from the visitor center back there to the fort, which is just beyond these trees here. You can almost make out the outer fencing of it. Okay, in case you're wondering, Ian's got an injury that he's going to have to go to a doctor for. That injury to his knee has been progressively getting worse, and he's been ignoring it, but it's getting worse and worse, and I don't know how long he's going to be out. He needs to get that taken care of. Whether it means surgery is right now, it's affecting his job, and it's certainly affecting his ability to hike. So the hiking stuff, that might be in limbo for a while. I might do some solo stuff. Oh, did I walk in front of your camera shot, dude? But just updating that, he's in a lot of pain, and it's chronic. Painkillers are doing little to alleviate that. So this week I'm going to make his hiney go to get it x-rayed or whatever he needs to do. Because if he continues to do nothing like he's been doing, it's just going to continue to get worse. So that's why we haven't been on the trail much. That trail we did out in Soddy Daisy, by the time we got to back to the car, though he didn't show it, he was in an extreme amount of pain. That was a rough trail for him to be on. I mean, it was a rough trail, but then dealing with what he's dealing with just made it worse. So that's the update on Ian and why he's not here, why we are again out on the trail. So the channel is kind of in limbo right now until that's fixed. That Tellico Blockhouse I was telling you about, kiddo, that's where it was. Oh, there's even a sign here. The ruins visible across the Tellico Lake are those of Tellico Blockhouse, built by the young U.S. government 34 years after the fall of Fort Loudon. Now, even though it's just right across the water, to get to that, it's kind of a drive because you got to go all the way back into town and take a road, and I don't know if we'll fit that in today. This is for a time the blockhouse served as headquarters of the Indian agent for the U.S. War Department. A small garrison of regular United States Army troops are stationed here. 1796, a factory or trading post was established so the Indians could receive fair exchange for their animal skins and be taught agricultural and mechanical arts. That's kind of cool. Alright, anyways, there's Fort Loudon. And we're going to go in. Be back. Okay, so we're inside. Here's one of those, the corners where they would have the cannons, and as you can see there, And there's one of these on each corner of this fort, which goes down. Here's another one over there, another cannon. And you can see here where the soldiers with their whatever gun that was, can't remember now. So they could see what was going on outside the fort, which again, that was all forest land and wilderness there, no lake. I think it said 100 people were stationed here. Okay, first building. Now there are maps at that visitor center that's got a layout of this and labels what each building is. Of course, goofball me, I didn't grab one of those. Now, this looks like an armory. We've got some muskets. Here's the shot, guns, shells, cannon cartridges. So this would be the armory. Musket balls, cartridge paper. Here's your musket cartridges, musket flints. You probably can't see too well in here with no lights. We'll head down to the next building. Now, about 6 times a year, according to the ranger there. Wow, look at the Smokies. You see the Smokies over there? We are fairly close to the Smokies. Oh, anyways, 6 times a year they have a big, they open this, everyone gets in their period dress, and they have reenactors here, and they have everything going in this fort. The blacksmith is making stuff. If you get on their website, it gives you the dates of when they do this. It's pretty cool. We stumbled across this place once while we were doing that. My ex-wife and I, and we were here while they were firing off the cannons, and they had troops in formation out there firing their muskets. They fired off that long gun that we saw. And of course, then they get, this is the commander's quarters right here. And I think the lieutenant's quarters right behind it. And these are the barracks where all the troops stayed. Now this right here, which unfortunately is locked, is like their clinic. And I mean, and during demonstrations, they have the guy here, and he explains all the primitive medical equipment that they have in there. And he talks about how they used to have to pull when they pull a tooth, and he the little tool that they use, and they just kind of rip that sucker out. Yeah, and Novocaine didn't exist back then in the 1750s. That was not fun. Okay, we're going to go into one of the barracks houses. And when they have that thing going on for the whole weekend, the reenactors, they actually spend the night in these places. And it's an actual, I mean, mattresses are full of hay, which they were back then. And here's the fireplace. And yeah. They stay here with no electricity or anything. Okay, another barracks house, which is pretty much set up just like the other one. And I don't know if the higher ranking soldiers got to stay in these. There's no way 100 men got into these. The rest of them had to sleep in tents, which was all. Which when we were here for that one weekend, they had their tents lined up in here. But I guess the rest of them had to sleep in tents. And here's like the mess hall. This is the main area where we kind of course, there were still beds even in the mess hall. And as you can see, the ash and stuff in the fireplaces, they actually use the fireplaces and stuff to stay warm when they do their weekend thing. And they all live here as if it were the 1750s. They even have kids dressed up in the little period clothing, and they're playing in whatever games that they would play back in those days. It's pretty cool. That'd be the ideal time to come visit this place, is during the time they're having there. And the ranger said they do that like 6 times a year. They have the dates on their website. Here's another corner with the cannons. And you can see those holes right there in the fencing. That's where they would stick their rifles out and defend the fort when needed to. But anyways, that's the ideal time to come visit this place. It's when they're having their weekend reenactments here. And let's see, we're gonna go into this place. Which is a supply house. Cheese, candles, tea, tobacco, salt, beef, more beef. And you keep all that stuff in here. There's pepper, brown sugar, whiskey. Gotta have your alcohol, dude. Priorities. And of course you got to have your well, get your water, because again, no lake back then. And this is a blacksmith shop. I think they were making nails or something when we were here that weekend. I guess they take it down, but they had that big bellow thing that kept the fire going. There's a grinding wheel there. They did woodworking stuff in here. Another corner with the cannons. And oh, this one's closed. Can't remember what this one is. Of course, there were women here too back then. Took care of the laundry, and I don't know if they like did the cooking. Here's some more quarters. Dirt floors, all of them. Oh, look, there's more beds up there. Pretty cool. Hey, be back. Okay, I assume this is an oven where they would do their cooking, and baking, and what have you. And one of the main entrances into the fort. Okay. Guardhouse. Some more beds. The table. Because they have the guardhouse here. Is this would be the main entrance into the fort. I think there's a sign here. From this gate to Charlestown, 450 miles of rugged trails. Is that Charlestown, West Virginia? Do not know. Little guardhouse. Okay, we'll go check out that last building in the fort before we check out the other stuff. Okay, be back. I don't know if this is like the second of the command's quarters. But the commander's quarters is right here. And unfortunately, they have it locked. It's kind of a bummer because that's pretty cool in here. Especially since the way they have it set up. You can see the contrast between the, if you could call it luxury, the luxury that the commander of the fort lived in. She had all kinds of, you know, luxury items, I guess, from that period. I don't know what they consider luxury, but if you compare to what he had in here, the commander, compared to what the regular guy had that was out there, huge difference. And unfortunately, can't show you that because you can't get in there. But man, look at that view out there. And even back then, if you could imagine no water and just forest, the view must have been just amazing because you got the Smokies right there, and this would have been all wooded, old growth forests and stuff like that. All this is Cherokee land. How gorgeous that must have looked like. Okay, we're gonna explore some more. We'll be back. Another the guardhouse, the other main entrance. Hey dude, what's up? Defensive perimeter. Locust hedge to impede Native American attacks. So these are defensive what's the word I'm looking for? Measures. There were defensive measures to help defend the fort. And there's the lake. Of course, you know, they had to grow their own stuff. And there's a western side view of the fort. pictures. Like, not as impressive as that lake is, and it is pretty. It's a beautiful lake, but it's man-made. Created when this whole valley flooded in by the Fort Loudon Dam, which is like 10 miles to the northwest of here. Maybe around 10 miles. I don't know if it's that far. So that dam way up there flooded in such a huge area. This being one of them. I mean, I like lakes and stuff, but I'd much rather see what this be in its natural state. But I'm a conservationist. I wish man would quit screwing with things. Okay, Tuskegee. The site of the Cherokee town of Tuskegee is now covered by Tellico Lake. It was located to the west of the two reconstructed Cherokee dwellings before you. Right there, so that's a Cherokee dwelling. Mud structure is a winter house, and the open structure is the summer house. Winter house protected the families from the long cold winter, but was notoriously smoky. The summer house provided comfortable respite during the hot summer days. Sequoyah, inventor of the written form of the Cherokee language, was born in Tuskegee around 1777, 17 years after the fall of Fort Loudon. Now there was a memorial place, his birthplace is near here, and they have an actual memorial thing built for him over there. Might go see it. Okay, we're gonna go in here. Be back. Life back then was rugged, to be sure. These men and the few families that made Fort Loudon home were isolated, as the nearest bastion of civilization was east through rugged terrain into South Carolina. Though the fort lasted only 4 years, those must have been hard years, until the tenuous relationship between the British and the Cherokee brought life at the fort to a bloody end. Still, it's cool to catch a glimpse into 1750s life. Don't know how much you can see, but this is the inside of the typical Cherokee mud house. It's actually kind of cool. Got their fire pit right in the center. I guess this is where they would hang stuff up to either dry or dry vegetables and whatever. There's an animal skin down there laying on the ground. And of course, the low doorway does not mean that they were short. It helped hold in the heat better during this winter month. They have the lower doorways, and here's their summer house. It's almost identical, except there's no walls. I guess privacy was not a main concern. And I guess this is to demonstrate how they would grow food. It looks like corn. They got some corn growing here. Of course, who knows what they might have had growing when that used to be land. Okay, so we're gonna go walk around over here. Be back. Okay, we're on the northern side of the fort. I guess they built it on a hillside like this, so they had the high ground. That's a big thing back then. Gotta have the high ground. Of course, didn't really help them all that much. I think this fort was only here for like 4 years before a dispute with the Native Americans got to the point where they destroyed the fort. And we're walking along a little trail that follows the shoreline here around the fort. There's a lot of pollen in the air. And I imagine this circles back towards the visitor center. There are a few trails that wind through this park. It's not a very big one. There's like 4 miles of trails. Okay, fort architecture. Fort Loudon was a frontier version of a traditional European fort design, using local material to meet local needs. William Gerard de Braun, the engineer, designed the fort with a large diamond shape with substantial earthworks as the primary body of the fort. When de Braun abandoned the fort before its completion, the design was simplified by Captain Raymond Demir, the fort's commander. Log walls or palisades were used in place of major earthworks for the main body of the fort. The wall was 12 feet high and leaned outward at a 15-degree angle, making any attempt to scale the walls without ladders nearly impossible. In addition, a firing step and loopholes in the wall for muskets created a bristling defense. The engineer placed the fort on the ridge to give the cannon a commanding view of the river, which the Tennessee River was back down that way. So when they dammed this river, became the lake. Anyways, de Braun was worried primarily of waterborne attacks from the river. The Cherokee insisted such an attack was unlikely since only canoes could navigate the river, but de Braun persisted despite all pleas for a different location. The result was a fort that rests half on the ridge and half on the plain below. Cool. Alright, moving on. The following few clips are from our visit in 2014 during the fort's demonstration days. I was here with my ex-wife, my little grandson, and a young Cheyenne. This is long before our trail hunters days, before GoPros and gimbals. I was using an old flip camera, so excuse the jerkiness, but I hope to give you a glimpse of Fort Loudon brought to life. Ready?
Hey guys! Yeah, fire!
Sweet.
Drop battery! 10 bit! Surge, peace!
Cover your ears up.
That's sponge. Sponge, peace!
It's okay. It's okay.
Piece is secure. Fall into the rear of the gun.
You okay?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the gun we just fired is our
our 3-pound piece. That has nothing to do with the weight of the gun, but it's the weight of the projectile the gun would fire. It would fire a 3-pound solid projectile, or could fire smaller, multiple projectiles, more like a big shotgun. What we're getting ready to fire is the wall gun, or the rampart piece, which is a 96 caliber smoothbore musket. It weighs about 75 pounds. It puts off quite a little report. It's a 2-man operation. One man has to hold the barrel and the weight of the barrel while the second man loads and then actually fires the gun. It has a swivel on it, which would normally be mounted to the wall if this were a full-time. We left it out all the time, but obviously for security and the care of the weapon, we don't leave it out here, so we use it as a 2-man operation.
40 pounds. What do y'all shoot when I say 40 pounds?
What? We're shooting the fisherman. Ready? Firing wall gun!
Firing wall gun.
Got a little bit of a pop to it.
That's totally cool.
Here at the fort, there were 12 of the great guns, or 12 of the large cannons, probably 3 in each bastion. We're not sure how many of the wall guns there were here, but we know there was at least one for certain because they found pieces of it in the archaeology here. So that allows us to at least have one here to play with and for you to see. There were also several smaller guns called swivel guns, which would have been smaller cannons.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Cover
Firing
your ears.
wall gun!
Firing wall gun.
Okay.
What?
Say what?
Does anybody have any questions about the artillery? No, we're just shooting powder. Are you really upset if we lob shells out there on the people?
Advance cartridge. 3 pounds.
600 yards easy.
Hang on, hold it, baby.
I think it actually lob a shell further than that, but line of sight from here, you got about 600 yards.
Charge with cartridge. Ram down cartridge.
Get ready.
2 battery.
Get ready, baby.
Get ready. It's gonna pop.
He's gonna put.
To cover your ears.
Here, give me the camera. Get ready. Get ready, baby.
Take aim. Yeah, fire.
So cool.
He didn't seem all that impressed. Run that low. What? Yeah, the OSHA hearing standards were not in place in the 18th century. Some of the men wear natural colored earplugs, but back then they weren't concerned about it. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Freeze it. 1. Fire! Reach cover.
Looks like the lieutenant said this is the King's Arm. I think he mentioned it's 75 caliber. That refers to the diameter of the barrel. It's 75 1/100ths of an inch across, so it's throwing a big piece of lead out there. He also mentioned it was a flintlock. This part of the musket is known as the lock, and the lock incorporates a piece of flint, which is just a very, very hard stone. That flint is so hard, when it strikes a specially tempered piece of steel, like the steel here, it will shave pieces of that steel off. And the friction as a result of that causes those minute pieces of steel to ignite. We see it as sparks. And that's what we use for the ignition system for the musket. You can see all the men are wearing these black satchels on their side. These are not purses, they're cartridge boxes. This is where they carried all their ammunition. And it would be issued to the troops in paper tubes with one musket ball and enough powder for one shot. It just facilitated faster reloading.
Oh, is it one?
The ball's at the end. This one is just powder because we don't want to have any accidents out here.
Right.
But if it was a hot load, it would have a ball in the bottom, enough powder for one shot. So you can rip it open and prime it, and by priming it, I'm pouring a little bit of powder in this little dish-shaped pan. That's where those sparks are going to happen, hopefully. We pour the rest of our powder right down the barrel, and if we were actually firing a live round, the musket ball, we'd shove the paper in there as well to help hold the musket ball in, since it's a little bit smaller than the diameter of the barrel. We'll ram everything down because we want to make sure that powder charge and musket ball are seated right here at the bottom of the barrel. And the reason for that is there's a hole leading from the priming pan where we poured that first little bit of powder to the inside of the barrel. So hopefully when those sparks happen, that powder will ignite and the flame will travel through that hole to the inside of the barrel where we just poured that main charge. Step right over here.
What bag?
Folks, anyone have any questions about the musket?
Okay, just about a mile, Fort Loudon. State Park is Sequoia Birthplace Museum. Right there. Which Sequoia, he was born near here. He's the creator of the Cherokee written language. So, we're here to come check that out. Be back. Okay, so we stopped at the Sequoia Birthplace Museum. And we're checking out the museum. Whoa.
It was around 1776, in what would become known as the Little Tennessee River Valley. Here, at the border between an ancient world and a new nation, a child was born. Sequoia. He would become a hero, honored for his contributions to the Cherokees and their nation. Today, in Washington, D.C., at the U.S. Capitol, 100 great individuals are celebrated for their remarkable accomplishments. George Washington, the first American president. Thomas Jefferson, principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Sacagawea, interpreter and guide of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Sam Houston, adopted Cherokee and American politician. Ellen Keller, pioneer for Americans with disabilities. Rosa Parks, activist in the civil rights movement. And Sequoia. Join us now as we explore the mystery of how this child of the frontier became a legendary national hero.
Okay, cool. Sequoia was a father, a soldier, a silversmith, blacksmith, and statesman for the Cherokee people. However, his greatest gift to his people was the gift of a writing system for the Cherokee language. This new writing system helped the Cherokees become literate. His legacy continues to this day, and this museum was created to explore the life of this great man, from his birth just mere miles from this spot to the amazing life he lived in honor of the Cherokee people. It was an amazing place. Oh, it's a pipe. In the shape of a raven. That's pretty cool. Hold on. Let me get you down there. Old scissors, kettle lugs, utensils used at the Tellico blockhouse. Ooh, look, a blowgun and blowgun darts. Don't touch the statue, alarm will sound. Just kidding. Sequoia's fascination with writing continued to grow. As a young adult, he had learned how to write his English name, George Gist. Sequoia was part of a mounted and foot Cherokee unit. He brought his own horse with him to war. He fought during the battle. He fought alongside Davy Crockett and Sam Houston. Power of the written word. Sequoia saw the difference letters could make during a war. Notes could change the course of a battle. Cherokees couldn't write letters home or read military orders. Sequoia wanted them to have the advantages the American soldiers had. He knew his writing system would be the answer.
Himself away, intent on creating a written language for the Cherokees, tackling a challenge that had taken other civilizations hundreds of years to achieve. First, he tried creating a shape for every sentence. Then, a shape for every word. But there were so many. How could anyone remember them all? Hours stretched into days. Days stretched into months. Months became years. His daughter Ayoka proved to be his greatest ally.
Stella, can I help?
Ayoka.
Stella.
Ayoka.
Okay, so we took the 5 or so mile drive to get to the Tellico Blockhouse. Now this is an American fort. It's constructed in 1794 and used through 1807. The Tellico Blockhouse serves as a check against white settlement deeper into Cherokee lands. Also served as home Tellico Factory, a trading post and diplomatic station for interactions between the Cherokee and federal government. Okay, so short walk down this pathway. Get down there, and man, is it bloody windy out. Sheesh. Okay, be back when we get there. Okay, so here we are. Tellico Blockhouse. I find it interesting that they use an old period American flag on the flagpole. Now, I was here many years ago, and when I was here then, that was not there. All that was left of this old fort was these foundations that you see here. All the different buildings. So that's definitely not original. I wonder how much of this brickwork and all this stuff is original from the site. There's the well. Whoa, pretty deep. Pretty neat. Now, when I was talking earlier, I was slightly wrong about this being all forested area. A river. I want to say Little Tennessee River. I don't know. I'll put it in the thing. There was a river here, because I saw some of the pictures of this area. They had them in the visitor center of what this area looked like before they built the dam. And there was a lot of farmland, but the river was a good sized river, and I think it came right along here and went up that way. I'm gonna see if I could find some of those old pictures of this area before they built the dam. So it wasn't totally forested area back during the days, mid 1700s, when that fort was manned by the British. Whatever river, Little Tennessee River, Little something river went through here. There's a decent sized river. But when they dammed it, then it became the lake that you see here. Pretty neato. And right over there, that's Fort Loudon. If you could barely see through the trees right there, the fort itself, the walls. Okay. Altered by mankind or not, the area around Fort Loudon State Historical Park was peaceful and beautiful. If we couldn't be on the trail, at least we again spent the day stepping back into history. What a great way to spend a Sunday. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's little excursion. We're back here at the parking lot of the Tellico Blockhouse. Again, I don't know when we're going to be back on the trail as a team. I'll probably do some solo stuff, like I said. Gonna make Ian go to the bloody doctor because he's reached a point where he doesn't have a choice. So he's going. Anyways, we're heading out now. We'll go grab a bite to eat somewhere in this little town of Vonore and finish out our day. Y'all be good. Keep your stick on the ice. There's nothing better than exploring on a gorgeous day like today. Whether it's exploring history or exploring a trail, days like today, though windy, pulls in my spirit to get out and stimulate the mind and the body. Our team will never stop seeking out all the wonderful things there are to see. It's one of the secrets to staying young. Never let go of that adventurous spirit. So from our family to yours, we wish you health and happiness, and we'll see you all out on the trail.